Hi guys, remember the story of ODACHE? If you haven't watched the part 1, please do so and come back for the part 2. The story of Ekon. It all began in the lush green depths of the African jungle. There lived a python named ODACHE. He was a majestic creature who was not just a serpent of the jungle, he was also a being of another world, a world of humans. Years before, ODACHE had wandered too close to the village of Elele, where he watched the humans curiously and wished to be one. One moonlit night, as ODACHE lay resting coiled up under a large bamboo tree, he felt a strange sensation coursing through his senior's body. It was as if a powerful magic had woven its way into his very essence, stirring something deep within him. And then, in a breathtaking transformation, ODACHE shed his scaly skin and emerged not as a python, but as a man. In his newfound form, and nowhere to go, he was found sitting under the tree where he lived as a serpent. Until one day, a group of hunters from the village stumbled upon ODACHE as he sat beneath the towering bamboo tree. They took ODACHE back to the village, where they presented him to their king, a wise and benevolent ruler, who was respected by all who knew him. Moved by ODACHE's plight, the king took him into his household, offering him shelter and protection within the walls of his palace. And as ODACHE became a familiar presence within the village, women flocked to his side, their eyes alight with curiosity and desire, each vying for his attention and affection. However, ODACHE had eyes only for a lady. Her name was Nkiru. Nkiru was a young man with eyes as deep as the forest itself. Despite the vast difference between them, a bond had formed, a bond that would change both of their lives forever. Their forbidden love bore fruit in the form of a child, a baby boy named Ekon. He was a child born of two worlds, with the blood of both serpent and human coursing through his veins. So let's dive into Ekon's story. But as joyous as his birth was for his parents, it brought only scorn and ridicule upon Nkiru from her community. She was shunned and ostracized, forced to raise Ekon alone, amidst whispers of curses and dark comments. She was even banned from going anywhere close to the jungle. After Ekon's birth, Nkiru's life entered a turbulent phase as she wrestled with the challenging task of nurturing a child, born from a love deemed forbidden in a community steeped in superstition and dread. Nkiru faced a torrent of scorn and ridicule from her fellow villagers, who gossiped and only went to her only to take a look at her child. Yet, Nkiru loved her son fiercely, and despite the torments she endured, she poured all her warmth and tenderness into him. Ekon grew up with the songs of the jungles and the stories of his father's war whispered in his ears, but also with the harsh reality of his mother's suffering etched into his heart. Nkiru would sometimes go out without her son, whom she locked with key whenever she goes to the market or to the stream to fetch water, and would always rush home to check on her son if someone has broken into the house to curse him or take him. As little as Ekon was, he would always sit by the window while his mom was away and watch the world around him, wondering why his skin was different. At the tender age of 2, Nkiru made a bold decision to venture into the depths of the jungle, with Ekon in search of his father, ODACHE. Despite the whispers of caution from her fellow villagers, the few remaining friends who still stood by her, Nkiru's motherly instincts drove her forward, fueled by the hope of reuniting her son with his elusive heritage. With Ekon cradled in her arms, Nkiru embarked on the journey into the heart of the wilderness. The dense foliage and towering trees loomed overhead, casting dapple shadows across their path as they ventured deeper into the forest. guided by a sense of determination and the faint echoes of her encounters with ODACHE. Nkiru pressed on, her resolve unshaken by the daunting expanse of the jungle. With each step, she whispered words of reassurance to Ekon, her voice a soothing melody amidst the cacophony of the forests. As they journeyed further into the wilderness, Nkiru's senses came alive with the sights and sounds of the jungle. The calls of exotic birds echoed through the trees, while the rustle of leaves whispered secrets of hidden creatures lurking nearby. Yet, amidst the beauty of the jungle, danger lurked in the shadows. Nkiru remained vigilant, her maternal instincts sharp as she navigated the treacherous terrain with care, shielding Ekon from harm's way. Hours later, Nkiru stumbled upon a clearing, bathed in golden sunlight, where a majestic python lay coiled beneath the shade of a towering tree. Nkiru remembered these days like it was just yesterday she was in her lover's arm. Nkiru approached the creature, her heart pounding with anticipation as she whispered ODACHE's name into the stillness of the jungle. In that moment, as the sunlight filtered through the canopy above, a sense of peace washed over Nkiru as ODACHE lifted his head to meet her gaze. She knew that their reunion, even though forbidden, was worth the risk. After Nkiru and Ekon met ODACHE in the depths of the jungle, ODACHE, the majestic python, greeted them with a mixture of surprise and affection, his deep, wise eyes reflecting the bond that tied them together. With a flick of his powerful coils, he welcomed them into his domain, eager to learn of the life they had led in the world beyond the jungle's embrace. As they shared tales of their experience and adventures, Nkiru felt a sense of belonging wash over her, as though she had finally found her place in the world. ODACHE listened intently to their stories, his presence comforting. In the days that followed, Nkiru and Ekon remained in the company of ODACHE, immersing themselves in the realm of the jungle life. Under his guidance, they learned the ways of the forest, discovering the hidden wonders that lay concealed within its depths. Yet it was time to go home. In a last warm embrace, Nkiru left her lover and returned to the village before her absence would be noticed. As Ekon grew, Nkiru faced even greater challenges. She struggled to provide for her son, facing discrimination and rejection at every turn. She could not afford most things, as whenever she goes to sell in the market, nobody stops at her stand to buy, as she was labeled the snake woman. Yet, she refused to be broken by the cruelty of others. As Ekon grew older, within his community, he faced a barrage of challenges from an early age. He was acutely aware of the whispers and stares that followed him wherever he went, reminders of the taboo nature of his existence. He endured taunts and jeers from other children, yet he remained quiet, his spirit unbroken. His mother, though burdened by the weight of their circumstance, instilled in him the values of kindness and compassion, teaching him to find strength in his difference. Despite the prejudice he encountered, Ekon was determined to carve a place for himself in the village. He threw himself into every task within reach, whether it was tending to the crops in the fields or assisting the elders with their daily chores. Yet, no matter how hard he tried, he always felt like an outsider, a serpent in human guise. Despite being seen as a forbidden child in the village, Ekon's innate kindness and sense of justice endeared him to the other children. From a young age, he displayed a natural talent for problem solving and empathy traits that would shape his interaction with his peers. He often found himself drawn into their conflicts and disputes, whether it was meditating arguments over stolen fruits or helping to tend broken relationships. Ekon's presence brought a sense of calm and understanding to even the most heated situation. Despite his efforts to help, however, Ekon could never fully escape the shadows of his heritage. Rumors and whispers followed him wherever he went, casting doubt on his intentions and fueling the prejudice of those around him. Yet Ekon refused to be defined by the narrow-mindedness of others, choosing instead to lead by example and prove his worth through his actions. Ekon's sense of isolation deepened every passing day. He longed to understand the truth of his heritage, to unravel the mysteries of the jungle that called out to him like a serene song. With each passing day, the pull of the wild grew stronger until he could no longer resist it. Yet, as Ekon grew older and his powers began to manifest, the whispers of fear and suspicion grew louder. It became increasingly clear to Ekon that he could never truly belong to the village that had rejected him from the start. But then, on his 16th birthday, Ekon underwent a transformation that would change everything. As the moon rose high in the night sky, he felt a strange stirring within him, a primal force awakening in his blood, and in a breathtaking display of magic and wonder, Ekon shed his human form and emerged as a serpent, his scales shimmering in the moonlight. He cried out in his room. Nkiru rushed to him, and before her eyes, what she feared the most was before her, her son in his primal form. She hugged him and comforted him, reminding him of the man he saw when he was younger, his father, and it was time for him to go be with his kind. For days, Nkiru battled with what to do. Then an idea struck her. She began to weave a basket, as she knows no one in the village will sell to her, and anyone who is willing will ask questions. As she walked with her serpent son by her side, she sang to him and told him tales of her childhood and how she fell in love with a man different from her, knowing well that this would be the last days spent with her son. When the basket was ready, she put her serpent son inside, and in the middle of the night, she took him into the jungle. Close to the boundary of her village, she was stopped by the village vigilantes. She was asked to bring down her basket for inspection. With fear and at what the outcome would be, Nkiru started singing a battle song. It was one of the songs she had taught Ekon while growing up, preparing him for an immediate escape when need be, when he hears her singing and he sees the situation as unfriendly. So gradually and gently, she brought down the basket. Ekon in his serpentine form, inside the enclosed basket, heard his mother singing their battle song, which was an escape song. He watched the people around him and immediately understood why his mother sang. When forced to open the basket, behold, the vigilantes were surprised to see a full-grown python inside. Faced with the situation, they immediately brought out their cutlasses to attack the serpent. Ekon, seeing the men about to attack and kill him, fled into the bush and climbed the nearest tree, watching while his mother was dragged back into the village. Filled with a newfound sense of purpose, Ekon set out on a journey to find his father, guided by the whispers of the wind and the rustling of the leaves. With each passing mile, he left behind his mother and childhood, embracing his destiny, a destiny intertwined with the wild heart of the jungle. As he moved through the dense undergrowth of the jungle, he found himself confronted by creatures both friendly and foe. One day, as Ekon rested beneath the shade of a towering bamboo tree, he heard the distress cries of a family of monkeys. Racing to investigate, he discovered a young monkey trapped in a snare, its legs ensnared by a cruel hunter's trap. Filled with compassion, Ekon knew he had to act swiftly. Drawing upon his instincts as a serpent, he deftly maneuvered around the trap, using his powerful coils to carefully free the trapped monkey. With a grateful chatter, the family of monkeys watched as Ekon's serpentine form disappeared into the foliage, a silent guardian of the jungle. And through it all, Ekon remained steadfast in his quest to find his father, his determination burning bright like a beacon in the darkness, for he knew that only by embracing his dual heritage could he truly discover his place in the world and fulfill his destiny as a child of two worlds. Left behind in the wake of her son's departure, Nkiru was devastated yet proud. She had watched him grow from a vulnerable child into a powerful being. And though her heart ached with loneliness, she knew that Ekon was destined for greatness. And so, the tale of Ekon, the child of two worlds, comes to an end. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to help us grow to serve you better. Don't forget to like, comment, and share.